This is One Fat Boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for February 3rd of 2022. Tonight there is 6 games. I will be going over the spreads and over-unders. I got my data for that from FanDuel. For Minnesota at Detroit, I'm going with Minnesota -7. This is due to the fact that Minnesota has been playing well over the past month or two, solidified their spot in the playoff race in the Western Conference, as Detroit have been doing the opposite, even though they've been playing slightly better over their past few games, but it won't be enough to beat Minnesota. Minnesota should win this game, and they should be able to cover the -7 spread due to their high energy on defense and just better star power on the team between Edwards and Towns. So just in that regards, Minnesota should win this. It'll be interesting to see how Detroit reacts to the intensity that Minnesota brings. So I think that will be hard for Detroit just to score in general. Then Minnesota shouldn't have a problem scoring at all. Hence, I'll be going with over 225.5, as Minnesota games are generally high scoring. Like this, will go over 215 no problem, 220 no problem, and then 225 shouldn't be too much of a problem either. But if you want to have like a safer bet, just bet the over, but just at a lower amount, as Minnesota should be able to put up a lot of points on Detroit, and then they do play a faster pace, so Detroit should be able to score a little bit more than usual, but not as much as Minnesota. For Phoenix at the Hawks, I'll be going with Phoenix -5, as Phoenix is the hottest team in the league, hence the sun for their logo, but they have also won like 11 straight, and I don't expect that to stop against the Hawks, even though the Hawks were the second hottest team in the league. But they're not as good as the Suns, because pretty much if the Suns are close in the fourth quarter, they're going to win the game. Doesn't matter if they're down by 10 or if they're down by 5 or if they're up by 5. Like once the fourth quarter comes, they just turn the game around. It's like it's time to play some basketball, and they turn around and win. So if the game's close in the fourth quarter, just bet on the Suns. I will be going with over 223.5, as I don't think the Hawks defense will affect the Suns too much. And when the Suns, they get hot, they tend to give up a few more points than they usually do. So if the Suns score a lot, that means usually the other team scores a lot. If you just think this will be more defensive game by both teams, just bet the under. I think 223 really is kind of like that halfway point for this game, as Suns usually scoring that 110 to 115 range somewhere in there, and then the Hawks usually are in that range too, but since they're playing the Suns, just bet a little lower on that. For the Bulls at Toronto, they'll be with Toronto -3. So the Bulls, their wing defenders are still going to be out when Ball and Caruso. And then Levine, so he has that calf strain, so he's day-to-day right now. So that means a lot of weight will be on DeRozan and Vucevic, because Levine might not play. So that just leaves the door open for Toronto to really take advantage of the Bulls, as Toronto has great perimeter offense, and that should be able to take advantage of where the Bulls have been lacking. And Toronto has enough aptitude defenders who can slow down DeRozan, make him work for his shots, and I think in turn that will lead towards a Toronto win overall, as the Bulls will just have a hard time just trying to score the ball, and then maybe even tougher time slowing down Toronto from scoring the ball. I will be leaning towards the under 224.5, as I think the Bulls will score in the low 100s or in the 90s, and then Toronto, in order to make up that difference to get over like the 224 spread, they'd have to be scoring close to 120, which I don't see that. I see them more around like a 110 area for scoring, so hence I'll be going under 224.5. For Miami at the Spurs, I will be leaning towards San Antonio +4. So in the recent games, the Spurs have been putting up a lot of points and keeping their games close. And with Miami, they have some key injuries. Butler's day-to-day. There's just kind of up in the air with some players in Miami, so they're also playing at San Antonio, so hence I'll be leaning towards San Antonio keeping the game close and possibly winning this game. I will be betting the over 219.5, as if the Spurs are going to be in this game, it will be due to their offense, because they usually put together like 3 quarters of good offense, and then that fourth quarter, like halfway through, they start to fall apart, or they just fall apart in the entirety of the fourth quarter. So if you think the Spurs can like hold on for the full 4 quarters, yeah, just bet the Spurs the +4, and they will have to score a lot for them to win. Hence, I'll be going for over 219.5. And then Miami, they're going to win on the back of their defense, so we just feel like Miami is going to win this. It's really dependent on if Butler is playing and then on their defense. So, but if I'm just going to assume that Butler is going to sit out, so hence I'll be going with Spurs like +4 and over 219.5. For the Kings at the Warriors, so I generally don't take spreads that go over like 10, let alone 13.5, but I will be going with Spurs, the Warriors minus 13.5, as the Kings played last night in a closer game, so it might be a little bit more spent. And if the starters are playing for Golden State, this should be easy win for Golden State. Shouldn't really be a close game. Hence, I'll be going minus 13.5. I will be going over 221, as especially if the starters are back for the Warriors, it's going to be a lot of threes being made, as the Kings, not known for their defense, that's for sure. So it'll be a lot of open threes. And Kings can also light it up too, but it's going to be hard against the Warriors' defense, and especially on the second night of a back-to-back. But I think just how the Kings play, they'll put some points up on the board, and Warriors, it's just going to be open shots from it's going to be a practice gym. So you can bet on a lot of like 1 to 3 pointers made for a lot of players on the Warriors. And hence I'll be going over 221 and a strong Warriors win. For the Lakers at the Clippers, so I'll be going with the Clippers minus 2.5. This is due to the fact that the Lakers played last night, and the Clippers, I'm sure, want to show that they're the top dog in LA. They got the drive, they got the power, but do they have the desire over the Lakers? I think they will. As Lakers, they're old, they're going to struggle on those back-to-backs, and it's kind of really dependent on street clothes, how he plays. If he is able to play more than like 30 minutes and have an impact. I will be going over 217.5, as Lakers aren't known for their defense this season, and it's going to be hard for them to clamp down on the Clippers. And the Clippers are pretty decent as taking advantage over like the slower big men, as Anthony Davis. He's not all the way up to speed. He's still getting in the groove, but last night he did show that he did have a groove with the 30 points. But I think Clippers are still going to take advantage of him. And then the Lakers, they can always get hot. They have enough shooters, enough like star power on that team to where they can score pretty much against any defense. It's just, will they allow themselves to? But Clippers should come out with a win, and should be a decently high scoring game of over 217.5. Thank you for watching. Leave any of your predictions for any players, games, or spreads or over-unders, anything like that. And once again, thanks for watching.